The Sūtra, Entry into the Gloomy Forest. Homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thus did I hear at one time. The Blessed One was staying in Shravasti, in Jeta's Grove, Anatta Pinada's park. At that time, there was a brahmin named Kambala from a mountain village in the country known as Trigata. Desiring a son for himself and his kinsman, Kambala undertook austerities at a place called Brahmin's Flat Stone. After praying to 100,000 gods for a son, he eventually had a boy whom he called Pradarśa. To his brother was born another boy who was called Nanda. On the very day Pradarśa was born, 500 sons were born to 500 Brahmins. As they gradually grew older, Pradarśa and the 500 other boys trained together in the traditional subjects of learning. Soon Pradarśa and the others attained mastery and dexterity in all fields of learning, and they obtained 100,000 exceptional enjoyments due to their perfect accumulations of merit. At that time, a Brahmin youth arrived from the middle country and encountered the boys. Welcoming him, the boys struck up a conversation and asked, "So, where have you arrived from?" "I'm from the middle country," he replied. "There we have 6 great cities, and in them we have 18 teachers who are experts in the 6 correct forms of knowledge, and who can lecture without any reticence on the 6 activities of a Brahmin. There is also a river there. Additionally, there is someone with a great amount of merit who is virtuous and glorious, and who knows everything about the world. He is the Blessed Buddha." As soon as Pradarśa heard this, his hair bristled and his mind became overjoyed. Thinking that he must go there, he approached his father and announced, "Father, I will go to the middle country. I will defeat those with heretical views and debate those regarded as experts." His father granted him permission. Pradarśa possessed a majestic presence due to the great merit resulting from generosity, and he was exceedingly generous toward all beings. He was a person protected by the gods. Accordingly, the gods approached him and went ahead to announce, "You must worship the great Pradarśa. It will bring you great results in the form of many benefits." In turn, with gods and humans worshipping him, Pradarśa arrived at Shravasti. Having recuperated from the fatigue of his journey, he went to where the Blessed One was dwelling and, bowing his head at the feet of the Blessed One, took his place to one side. The Blessed One then taught the Dharma to Pradarśa and the rest of the assembly. All 500 members of the assembly had their clinging to false views undermined and destroyed, and seeing the truth, they went forth and took up monkhood on the spot. Apart from Ananda, they all vanquished their mental afflictions and became worthy ones. A multitude of other people also came to understand the Dharma. Because they had been observing the generous Pradarśa, the gods and others also arrived in the assembly. Upon their arrival, the Blessed One said to the monks, "Monks, among my monks and the hearers who are monks, however they may be worshipped by gods and humans, the monk Pradarśa is the supreme object of worship by gods and humans." Immediately thereupon, Brahma, the lord of the Saha world, Shakra, chief of the gods, the 4 guardians of the world, the 28 great Yaksha generals, the king of Gandharvas, the general of the Kumbhandas, and others departed from their respective abodes and arrived before the venerable great Pradarśa. Taking their places to one side, they faced Pradarśa, joined their hands, and said, "Honorable great Pradarśa, there is an abode that was visited and inhabited by previous blessed perfect Buddhas. It was an abode for solitary Buddhas, a place for those devoid of desire, and an abode for sages. 91 eons ago, the perfect Buddha Vipassin, having ascertained the nature of things, appeared in the world. At that time, there was a monk named Shining, who was the most highly revered by gods and humans. He also resided in this place. On the northern border of the middle country, there was Mount Conchspire, so called because on it grew grass that resembled the spire of a conch. Nearby was the Eni Forest, so called because the Naga lady Eni resided therein. In that forest there were caves around which trumpet flower trees grew, and so they were called Patali Caves. It was there that the blessed perfect Buddha Vipassin arrived and resided along with his retinue of 80,000 worthy ones. The monk Shining was also there. Then the Blessed One and his retinue gradually passed into nirvana. Once his teaching had appeared, 70,000 solitary Buddhas who were endowed with the 6 forms of super-knowledge arrived and resided together. When those solitary Buddhas had also passed into nirvana, 60,000 sages who were endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge came to inhabit that same place. Honorable great Pradarśa, thereafter, 61 eons ago, the blessed perfect Buddha Shikin appeared in the world. His monk named Luminosity, who was the most highly revered by gods and humans, also resided in that very place. Because the bordering mountain had Rohita grass growing on it, it was called Mount Rohita. The forest was called Unclothed Forest, because the Naga lady Unclothed resided there. Because parrot trees grew nearby, the caves were called Parrot Tree Caves. It was there that the perfect Buddha Shikin, along with his retinue of 70,000 worthy ones, arrived and resided together. They too passed into nirvana, and the teaching disappeared. Then 60,000 solitary Buddhas arrived and resided in that place. When those solitary Buddhas had also passed into nirvana, 50,000 sages who were endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge came to inhabit that same place. Honorable great Pradarśa, thereafter, 31 eons ago, the perfect Buddha Vishvabhu appeared in the world. His monk, named Shining Forth Dharma, who was the most highly revered by gods and humans, also resided in that very place. Because the bordering mountains had basaba grass growing on it, it was called Mount Basaba. The forest was called Rock Forest, because the Naga lady Rock resided there. Because peepal trees grew nearby, the caves were called Peepal Tree Caves. It was there that the perfect Buddha Vishvabhu, along with his retinue of 60,000 worthy ones, arrived and resided together. They too passed into nirvana, and the teaching disappeared. Then 50,000 solitary Buddhas also arrived and resided there. When those solitary Buddhas had also passed into nirvana, 40,000 sages who were endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge came to inhabit the place. Here, Honorable Great Pradarśa, during this very excellent eon, when the lifespan of humans was 40,000 years, the perfect Buddha Krakuchanda appeared in the world. His monk, named Dharma Endowed, who was the most highly revered by gods and humans, also resided in that very place. Because the bordering mountain had Kaushika grass growing on it, it was called Mount Kaushika. The forest was called Cloud Forest, because a Naga lady named Cloud resided there. Because the cluster fig tree grew nearby, the caves were called Cluster Fig Caves. It was there that the perfect Buddha Krakuchanda, together with his retinue of 50,000 worthy ones, arrived and resided together. They too passed into nirvana, and 30,000 sages who were endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge came to inhabit the place. Here, Honorable Great Pradarśa, during this very excellent eon when the lifespan of humans was 30,000 years, the perfect Buddha Kanakamuni appeared in the world. His monk, named Uplifted by Dharma, who was the most highly revered by gods and humans, also resided in that very place. Because the bordering mountain had green leafy grass growing on it, it was called Mount Leafy Green. The forest was called Drop Forest, because the Naga lady named Drop resided there. Because elephant trees grew nearby, the caves were called Elephant Tree Caves. It was there that the perfect Buddha Kanakamuni, along with his retinue of 40,000 worthy ones, arrived and resided together. They too passed into nirvana, and the teaching disappeared. Then 30,000 solitary Buddhas arrived and resided there. When those solitary Buddhas had also passed into nirvana, 20,000 sages who were endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge came to inhabit that same place. Here, Honorable Great Pradarśa, during this very excellent eon when the lifespan of humans was 20,000 years, the perfect Buddha Kashyapa appeared in the world. His monk, named Shejoka, who was the most highly revered by gods and humans, also resided in that very place. Because the bordering mountain had a type of grass named Moon growing on it, it was called Mount Moon. The forest was called Victorious Forest, because the Naga lady Victorious resided there. Because black plum trees grew nearby, the caves were called Black Plum Caves. It was there that the perfect Buddha Kashyapa, along with his retinue of 20,000 worthy ones, arrived and resided together. They too passed into nirvana, and the teaching disappeared. Then 15,000 solitary Buddhas arrived and resided there. When those solitary Buddhas had also passed into nirvana, 10,000 sages who were endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge came to inhabit the place. Now, Honorable Great Pradarśa, during this very excellent eon, when the lifespan of humans is 100 years, the perfect Buddha Shakyamuni has appeared in the world. You, noble and great Pradarśa, the monk most highly revered by gods and humans, will reside in that very place. Because the bordering mountain has vetiver grass growing on it, it is called Mount Ushira. The forest is called Gloomy Forest, because the Naga lady Gloom resides there. Because mango trees grow nearby, the caves are called Mango Caves. Honorable Great Pradarśa, it would be good if you, thinking compassionately, were to reside on that very Mount Ushira. At this point, Brahma, Shakra, who is chief of the gods, and the guardians of the world, bowed at the feet of the great elder. Joining their hands together, they respectfully addressed him. O compassionate one, this forest is a place to which you should come and reside. Please let us be your disciples, and please accept others as well. This forest is praiseworthy and excellent. Please consider the water and extract it. Then the 8 Yaksha generals, namely Shingala, Dharma Protector, Successful, Victorious, Bull Ear, Jewel Ear, Dharma Endowed and Uplifted by Dharma, also bowed at the feet of the Great Elder. Joining their hands together, they respectfully addressed him. O compassionate one, this forest is a place to which you should come and reside. Please let us be your disciples, and please accept others as well. This forest is praiseworthy and excellent. Please consider the water and extract it. Then the 8 great yakshas, namely Ashidi, many sons, hanging down, fully hanging, terrible lady, fierce lady, small club holder, and sky dweller, also bowed at the feet of the Great Elder. Joining their hands together, they respectfully addressed him. O compassionate one, this forest is a place to which you should come and reside. Please let us be your disciples, and please accept others as well. This forest is praiseworthy and excellent. Please consider the water and extract it. Similarly, the 8 great Nagas, namely tawny, scent, watery, wrathful, staircase to heaven, staircase to a vase, nearby Naga, and Sūtra, also bowed at the feet of the Great Elder. Joining their hands together, they respectfully addressed him. O compassionate one, this forest is a place to which you should come and reside. Please let us be your disciples, and please accept others as well. This forest is praiseworthy and excellent. Please consider the water and extract it. Similarly, the 8 Naga ladies, namely darkness, eager to leave, seer, cool, load-carrying, speech-strewing, universal army, and Gandharva lady, also bowed at the feet of the Great Elder. Joining their hands together, they respectfully addressed him. O compassionate one, this forest is a place to which you should come and reside. Please let us be your disciples, and please accept others as well. This forest is praiseworthy and excellent. Please consider the water and extract it. The Venerable Great Pradarśa, by remaining quiet, consented to this request, and those gods, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, Bahuragas, and so on, happily rejoiced, as they knew that the Venerable Great Pradarśa had consented to the request by remaining quiet. The Venerable Great Pradarśa then gazed intently at the teacher's face and left for the Gloomy Forest. Arriving there, he stood in the open air and struck the Gandhi, the sound of which was heard by the monks as it covered the whole of Jambudvipa. They began to think, this sound has come from the Gloomy Forest. This being an abode that was also inhabited by the previous perfect Buddhas, by the solitary Buddhas, by those without desire, and by the sages, the monks knew, understood, and saw that now the sound could only be from the Honourable Great Pradarśa. 18,000 worthy ones then travelled to the Gloomy Forest to undertake the summer rains retreat. Brahma, the chief of the gods, and the guardians of the world brought the hair and nails of the thus gone one. Having arrived, they erected a reliquary containing the hair and nails. They also constructed a monastery, which was given the name Vajra Monastery. Brahma, the lord of the Saha world, and the four guardians of the world also built their own individual monasteries, and the gods resided in them for the first year. For a full year, Chakra, chief of the gods, personally offered essential supplies such as monks' robes. Apsarasis, such as blissful, also offered each monk cotton cloth for their monks' robes. Then the venerable great Pradarśa, situated in the large assembly hall and surrounded by a retinue of gods, said, "So that this place may be habitable for a long time to come, and contain cities for gods and humans, I have taught the Dharma to people such as the Kshatriya, known as Tough Man, and they have become pleased and devoted. The great king, Tough Man, has gone for refuge to the Three Jewels, and others have also become devotees. Work has been done on 500 caves. 500 sages endowed with the 5 forms of super-knowledge have also gone forth and achieved the realization of a worthy one. In this area, there is also a person who is an expert in the religion of the Brahmins. I defeated him in debate, and he has gone forth. He too has achieved the realization of a worthy one." Thus it became well known in the palaces of kings and in the cities and towns that the venerable great Pradarśa, along with 80,000 worthy ones, resided in the Gloomy Forest. Every day people such as King Tough Man offered buttermilk to the noble Sangha. The non-humans offered ghee, and others, being happy and inspired, were pleased and rejoiced and offered their service. Similarly, the Nagas, being happy and pleased, offered meals of 18 different varieties. Other beings also developed a similar intention. For example, the Kshatriyas and ministers cooperated to establish a park that contained many beautiful flowering and fruit-bearing trees, such as the mango tree, the trumpet flower tree, the kutch, the Indian banyan, the peepal tree, the 3 myrobalans, the champaka tree, the uduka tree, the licorice tree, the bell fruit tree, the braho tree, the black plum tree, the duna tree, and the banana plant. There were also flowers such as Arabian jasmine, downy jasmine, and common jasmine. The rulers and ministers then offered this park to the Sangha so that the monks would be able to live comfortably and have an abode conducive to wholesome pursuits. Later, however, the monks came to have doubts, so they asked the Blessed Buddha, "Who quells all doubts? What action did the Honourable and Venerable Pradarśa previously perform, so that now, as this action ripens, he is rich, wealthy, and born in a prosperous lineage, so that he is handsome and the one most highly revered by gods and humans, and so that he is endowed with a great amount of merit? Please make this known to us." The Blessed One responded, "O monks, 91 eons ago, the perfect Buddha Vipassin appeared in the world. He was perfect in terms of wisdom and conduct, a well-gone one, a knower of the world, a charioteer for beings, an unsurpassed being, a teacher of gods and humans, and a blessed Buddha. He resided in King Bandumat's palace. At that time, a certain rich man from the castle of Plasterers built a monastery for Vipassin. Landscaping it beautifully with flowers and fruit-bearing trees, the man offered the monastery, which was enveloped by pleasing scents, to Vipassin. He also went forth under the teaching of that very teacher. After the perfect Buddha Vipassin had passed into nirvana, This monk erected a precious pillar at the foundation of the reliquary that held the Buddha's relics. The people in the retinue of this monk, who had gone forth from the caste of plasterers, rejoiced and felt admiration. Then they made the following aspiration: just as you admire the teacher, may we too have faith and admiration. May we act according to the words of the teacher and please him. May we not displease him. O monks, what do you think? At that time, on that occasion, the person who was the plasterer is none other than the venerable great Pradarśa. Similarly, those other beings are those gods and humans present here, and now too he is guiding them. Moreover, he went forth under the teaching of the blessed Kashyapa, and his preceptor was the one who was the one most highly revered by gods and humans. He made the following aspiration: just as my preceptor is the one most highly revered by gods and humans, may I too, under the teaching of the perfect Buddha Shakyamuni, become the one most highly revered by gods and humans. For that reason, he has now become the one most highly revered by gods and humans. Therefore, O monks, the ripening of thoroughly black deeds is thoroughly black. The ripening of truly white deeds is white. The ripening of mixed deeds is mixed. For that reason, O monks, abandon truly black deeds and mixed deeds. You must carry out those deeds that are truly white. Monks, you should train in this way. When the Blessed One had said this, the monks contemplated the Blessed One's speech and were pleased. This completes the Sūtra, Entry into the Gloomy Forest.